let's move on to the predicted lineup. Big up to everyone in the chat. We've got over about 350 just below people here. So smash that like button and hit that subscribe button while you're there as well. But a big night under the lights at Ibrox. The atmosphere is going to be intense. There's the added incentive for Rangers with Ange Postecoglou in the dugout, and also Celtic's former number one and Fraser Forster between the sticks as well. So, I mean, how much of an intense atmosphere is this going to be, judging by someone that's been to Old Firm games, grew up in Scotland?
Yeah, it's not really like anything else. Rangers and Celtic in Europe under the lights midweek is a different vibe. It really, it's massive. I've been to, see us at the Lane and the stadium midweek in Champions League and big games. But when you go to an Old Firm game, that's the kind of, it's not like that, but it rises up like that. There's a palpable violence in the air, which is unlike, there's a nerve, there's a kind of, you're skating on thin ice, something's going to pop off, but then you can imagine that's what it's like in the stands, in the streets. Can you imagine what it's going to be like on the pitch? You know what I mean? So it's like, they're a big club history-wise in Europe. Them not turning up for this game, they will all be crucified the next day. So we think we should go out there and batter them. They will not be allowed to not put, they will get goals. They will fight to the final whistle. So we have to respect that. We have to go in respecting that this is not going to be an easy game. Yeah.
And, in terms of the form of the two teams coming into it, we know what Spurs' form like is at the moment. We're just not playing well, bang in trouble at the moment with the injuries and just confidence levels, I think, as well, with the team. Fans are getting on the players back, fans are getting on the managers back, the owners back. I mean, it's just not a nice place at the moment, Tottenham Hotspur, where Rangers, on the other hand, after a weak start to the season, they're starting to kind of guide their way into the season now. 4 wins on the bounce. They are sitting third in the SPL, but there was quite a big gap between them and Aberdeen in second, but now that gap's closed to 2 points with Aberdeen going off the boil a little bit.
Yeah.
They'll fancy their chances, won't they?
Yeah, all of my dad's side of the family are massive Rangers fans. We've had family members who have, worked at the club, and they are quietly confident in this game. What the line is, Spurs should beat us, but we're looking forward to this, and that kind of tells you, league form out the window. You see what happened with how they beat Nice 4-1. It's a different thing when they go in Europe. It's a bit of a different animal, and the worst thing you can do is have any preconceptions that it's going to be an easy game. It's just not. How our players can handle that atmosphere is going to be the telltale, because we are going to have, Gray, Bergvall. They will never have heard stuff like this. The abuse that's going to be hurled at them is.
To be fair though, Archie Gray, doesn't he come from a big Celtic family?
Yeah.
So he probably will get a load of abuse as well. So he'll have an idea, won't he?
He'll have an idea, yeah. It's just when it gets going, any little mistake, even if you pass the ball kind of short, it's all going to, you'll get it. It's close. The pitch is really close to the fans. Yeah, and you when Prem players go to the SPL and then they play for either Rangers or Celtic, what you'll see is they have a great little run in the league games, because it's almost like a Prem team playing a Championship team. But then when in the actual Old Firm games, they go missing and they can't handle it because they've just never experienced.
Takes bottle.
Yeah. So that's the kind of making of a player, and then they end up leaving the SPL and have a great time in the Prem again. So as you can see, there's something different about that game. And this isn't an Old Firm derby, but that's what Celtic and Rangers are like when they go into European games.
Looking at their form at home in Europe so far, so the opening game they lost actually 4-1 to Lyon at Ibrox, but then they backed up with a 4-0 win against FCSB. Their away form in Europe, though, they just went to Nice, went to France and battered the life out of them. Yeah. Unbelievable. They drew 1-1 away at Olympiacos.
Good result, yeah.
That's a good result. And they won 2-0 against Malmo. So you're looking at the league table in Europe at the moment. I think Rangers and Spurs are on the same. Yeah. So they're 8th and we're 9th on 10 points.
Yeah.
So it's in terms of getting in that lucrative 8th spot to miss out on the next round, It's a massive game, isn't it?
It's absolutely must win, and it's must win from the point of view is that you also like you can't just go out there and try get like a 1-0 win or get a draw. Like you can't. You've got to go out there and it's going to take mentality. And the problem that I see with us is that that's our biggest problem right now. Is like we've got a fast start in us, but like going the way, coming out with a game plan, and then like what happens if it goes wrong or when the nitty gritty, where do we go?
That's what happened in the last two games, right? The Bournemouth game and the Chelsea game. We started so fast, so it looked like, all right, Spurs have come to play here.
Yeah.
But then because of the numbers, we just run out of gas in that second half.
Yeah. And the only thing that I can think is that, Spurs, everyone knows their style of play, so it ends up being easy for lower teams in the Prem to deal with us because they just sit back. Rangers not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like even though they should, they are not going to do that. It's going to be it's going to be hell for leather from the start. So that's where we have to take our chances. If we took our chances against Chelsea, we're probably 3 or 4-1 up. We'd probably win that game easily, but we're not, and that's the biggest problem. This is the mentality, because taking your chances in a heightened game, every chance gets harder. You snatch. So that's going to be the tell. Like we need Dom Solanke to
put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, like get 2 goals.
Yeah,
and then we can kind of like. Then you would hope that Ange is going to go, look, take the bite out of this game, like simmer it down, like let's get gritty. Let's see if when you've got players who are not used to playing with each other, you've got some young players. Let's pull everyone tight together, and then boom, let's put Timo in behind. That's why we've got pace. Let's put these 2 in behind.
Do you think, because there's been a few different ways that Spurs have played this season, and first of all, when it seems like we're dominating the possession, we don't usually get the result, but when we let the other team have a bit more possession and play a bit more transitional, it seems as though that's where we're at our best and that's where we're getting most of our goals. How do you think Spurs will play it in that sense?
Yeah, see, that's what you kind of hope. Like against like City, we sat and then we catch them on the counter, and then I think all the chances get a little bit easier because it's just there's more space, But when it's like us driving all the play, I think teams just go, right, they're really good at this. They give you respect and they sit, and then we have to walk the ball in the goal, and that's where even if you're dominating football becomes kind of boring and ugly. We're not drilled like a Pep team. We just haven't done it for enough time. And then if you take one player off,
and the players aren't good enough.
Yeah, they're just not good enough to play that style of football. And now I would think our biggest thing is our press, but we don't have the fitness in the legs to press for a whole game. So you need your manager, and this is what we're going to see over the next few months, is you need your manager to be versatile.
Yeah. And
can we do that? Can we go out there, lay a glove on them, then kind of like control the game? You don't have to sit back the whole game. Like take 5 minutes, make everyone compact, then go at them at the first start, like...
Do we have it in us to do that in an intense atmosphere like that? Because we saw how the atmosphere clearly got to us, particularly in that first half. Well, even in the second half against Galatasaray,
Yeah.
The players just couldn't handle it, and we were getting open up time and time again. Osimhen, how many times was he through on goal without even scoring? I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Once a game, the negative of us going high and pressing is that Connor Barron gets on the ball, boom, long ball over the top, Cerny in behind, and then everyone's going to be panicked, and then as soon as they get the ball there, and it becomes and then that burns everyone out so much faster. And if they're at home, they're used to that atmosphere, it's not going to burn them out.
Yeah,
so
it'll lift them.
Yeah, we're going to have to be compact at some point in this game. Can Ange make a defensive strategy for the parts where it's going wrong, or can he take the bite out of the game? That's what we've not seen. We keep thinking, when's he going to make a change? But not even that. It's like, wait, can you just pull everyone in and say, right, get tight, go 5-4-1 like you did against City, and we batter them? Mm-hmm.
A couple of the Rangers players, I mean, maybe you'll have more knowledge on them than me, but this Vaclav Cherny, the Czech Republic player, I don't know if he's an international or not, but he scored 3 goals in the Europa League so far. He scored 6 goals in the SPL.
Yeah.
And also Drezes as well, who had a strong season last year, and this season he's backing that up with another 6 goals in the SPL. Anyone else that we should be looking at, or what will those players bring to the team?
Well, it's more the combination between. So Kearney is brilliant. Like he's on loan from Wolfsburg. I think this is the kind of player The two players I would mention, he's one of them. These are the kind of players we should actually kind of be looking at, because they're not going to be that expensive. Wolfsburg are kind of like putting him out on, and he's doing really well. But he's a tricky winger. He's fast. He's kind of brutal. He'll bite. But it's the link between him and Conor Barron. They're kind of six, who's kind of come in, and everyone in Scotland's going, "Whoa, this is the guy who can take Callum McGregor's number for Scotland."
Really?
He's kind of, the way he puts balls through the lane, he can control a game when he gets on. He's not like a six like you would see. At Aberdeen, he was more of an 8, but he would control games. Like he's almost like Beckham-like precision, the way he moves the ball around, but also strong in a tackle. You think he's kind of like,
as most Scots are.
He's very strong in a tackle, and his head is there. So he's the kind of person. There is vulnerabilities with him because he's young and he doesn't have any big leader around to control. So he will try that beautiful ball all the time. So you've got to press him, you've got to shut him down. But the thing is, how many times in a game that he gets that ball right and he gets it perfectly bent into the run of Kearney, is like, that's our big problem with the way that
we play.
The way our inverted fullbacks are up high, he's going to find that gap, that ball in, and it's going to pull Drago out. That's where there's a difficulty.
Well, thanks for making me even less confident than I was.
But the vulnerabilities are that if you press him, then there's a problem. If you that, I'd say that their back is troublesome. They rely on him as a 6 to come in and be an extra defender and win tackles as well. But they also rely on him to play all the time, move the ball all the time. So if you close him down, say you put Bergvall on him, man mark this guy, don't let him get on the ball, then I think they don't have anything. You know what I mean? He's that pivotal for them.
Couple of other players. Hadji, is he the son of Georgi Hadji, the Romanian?
Yeah,
he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but he's kind of like, he's shown it in spurts. There was early people relating him to how they want him to be like the new Brian Laudrup, but he's not shown that. He's shown it in spurts. He's had injury issues as well, and
he was out on loan last season as well.
Yeah,
in Spain.
He's not been what they want him to be. He's not his dad, I'll tell you that much.
And someone who always seems to turn up on big days for Rangers is Tavernier, the captain, at right back.
He's he's their. But if anything, I don't know if he's that. I think he's kind of, for me, whenever I hear about him or when I think about him, I almost think his mind's maybe kind of out the door.
You think so?
Yeah.
The captain?
He is captain and he's a strong player, but he's been that guy for so long. And when you see the difficulties they have had, it's like, it sounds like that he's not really. They need a Barry Ferguson. They need someone who take everyone in, especially when they got young players who are brilliant, to kind of protect them. But he's not that guy. He's not that kind of captain, if you know what I mean. He's brilliant, but. Yeah,
it's mad though, because he's a right back. Last season got 17 goals.
Yeah,
the year before got 16.
Yeah, he's a right back who plays high and gets in a bit.
Takes their penalties as well.
Yeah. I think he's a great player, but I don't know if he will be a threat. This is the thing about he'll push up high. He gets up on all the crosses. Our thing with defending crosses. They're pretty good at that. Yeah, I don't know. I do like him, but I don't know whether it's just his fitness. But their biggest problem for me is that they've been vulnerable at the back. They've not had any real leader. The consistency hasn't been there. But then that's also probably to do with the fact that the squad is not they don't have a solid cohesion. They've got a good player here, but not a Spain that everything goes through.
But it'll all come together on tomorrow night. You know? That's what happens. Big game under the lights at Ibrox. It's going to be hard for anyone, even a top team full of fitness going there. Will be hard for.
And Tavernier was involved in that whole run for them getting to the final of the Europa League. So they do have experience of going quite far in this competition. So
And you look at it, it's going to be naughty outside the ground. I remember when we played them in a friendly a couple of years ago, and I know it even got heated outside the ground in a friendly. So imagine what it's going to be like in the Europa League game.
Yeah, Sim was saying, where do you recommend? I'm like, for what? To get battered? Like, what do you want? He's like, I'm gonna go to King Tut's. I'm like, stay, keep eyes down, don't be walking along the street singing Postecoglou, you know, don't do it. Going into Govan it's tougher even if you're not going to Ibrox.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's going to be razor sharp. Yeah, they're up for it. Even if their league form's getting back into something good now, but they're up for this.
Yeah, and the fans will be up for it, the players will be up for it, and Spurs, the mentality of them, they'll know how much of a big game it is, because just look at the league table. That's all you need to know to see how much of a big game it is. But
do you think that is like a negative for us? Because when we know we've got a big game, like it's when we're all fit and it's like a City, players will raise their, you know. But like for this, there's one thing. Will they kind of take it for granted? Will they be shocked at the kind of the vibe when they get in it? And then as soon as the tough gets going, will they just fold?
Yeah,
that's the fear for me.
Well, I think we'll start the game strong. But I just worry because their energy levels are going to be top notch throughout the 90 minutes, Rangers. It really will. The fans will guide them through it, even if they're flagging a little bit. They'll be up for it. They'll be running on adrenaline, those players. I fear for Spurs in that second half. I really do. Well,
we just can't make that many changes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They've got, you know, decent numbers. It's just we can't do much if it's not going our way. Like, yeah, we can bring Lancashire on up top, but then it's like forcing a kid if it's needed. You know, what if it goes wrong? You know, do you just keep running everyone to the wire? This is a game where
What option do we have, though?
Yeah, this is the game where you could get loads of injuries because of the nature of the game. Yeah. You have
mad Scots just going in full-blooded with two-footed challenges and all that.
Yeah, and because the way that their fans and the way they will look at it is, you know, obviously it's not ideal, but if they get a red card in the height of this game, like, it's a badge of honour.
I'm just imagining Die Hard.
It is going to be something very different.
I would just love to see Ange Postecoglou, though, shut up Ibrox once again. Look, as much as like me growing up, I've always looked at Rangers as Celtic, and I've always been watching the SPLs, and I've always favoured maybe a Rangers over a Celtic. Yeah. But as a Spurs fan going into this game, I'd just love to see, because it'll be ferocious towards Ange specifically, and it'll just be nice for him to just to shut those fans up. It really would. But I've spoken a lot about Ange Postecoglou and about how I don't feel like this project's going anywhere at this moment in time, and I can't really see much light at the end of the tunnel. So away from this game, what's your opinions on Ange at the moment?
It's a difficult one, because early on I was seeing things that were like, well, this is worrying. And I think the difficulty is when you want to back a manager, you have to kind of measure your expectations. And so you want to back a manager, so you go, let's go for it. Let's do that. Like we don't stop. You get caught up in the hype of that. But early on, I was seeing like, you can't play that all the time. That's just insane. Yeah. Knowing that we came into this season with exactly the same problems as we did the season before, like not getting extra players in positions that we got. You know, we went into games last season with non-centre backs at centre back, so it was always going to happen. So I just didn't understand how. You know, I kind of felt like if he's standing by the summer window, like. It feels like he's got sold out, but then he's saying it was his decision. So what is it? I
don't buy it, though. Do you buy that? Do you buy that he went into the summer window being like, yeah, give me 3 or 4 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and Dom Solanke and Timo on loan, and I'll be just fine?
That's the craziest thing. Is
Surely
that he
not.
Sanctioned Timo twice. So if it is true that he did, agree, then you're going, well, you've made a rod for your own back here, because you knew this was going to happen. You had a whole season of how hard it gets when you don't have a squad. So that's one season, and then second season, and you're going, this is the same excuse. That's why it's getting hard for everyone.
And on top of that, he says, I always win in my second season.
I know. Sometimes I don't falter him on that stuff, because he is Australian. That's a culture thing. Their way of looking at it is they have to, they bump themselves up so that they are held to that sword. They like being held to to their success, and he's experiencing probably a different culture here. But I still think, though, when you see it work,
It's brilliant.
it is brilliant. If you could get him 2 teams, a first team and a second team that he believes in, because he clearly does not believe in the youth. The amount of times we're sitting there going, you're just watching the Chelsea game, you're seeing Bissouma's making mistake after mistake. You can see he's like leggy, he's waiting all the times. I think you said it as well. When every time they were attacking, you said it in the stands, every time they're attacking, he was just staying off. And it was like, why is he being so lazy? He's not going to the ball. And that's,
That first goal was an example.
yeah, it's like they're just standing off. And even Van de Ven did it a couple of times, but then I guess he's kind of also worried a little bit of his body. But that was happening, And so you're seeing that. I go, why doesn't he bring Gray or Bergvall on now? Because even if they're not as good as him, they won't just stand. They've got legs. They'll try, So why not just do it? Because then I see it as if he makes a decision to bring on Gray and Gray makes a mistake, fair enough, because he's a young kid. So then you can use, look, he's a young kid excuse, right? But you don't make that change, and you've relied on Bissouma again. We've relied on Bissouma for a long time, and he's mostly just let us down. Then when he makes a mistake on the halfway line, you see him, he doesn't run immediately. Takes his time, doesn't run. He thinks, oh God, it's all, Then he kind of realizes, oh, I've not been running. And then he on the way back, he almost like kind of does a line. You know what I mean? He gets so hyped up on the way back that he's like, oh, I can't stop. And he goes right through him when he actually did not need, he could have just seen him out. So all of that is just looking at a player who was on that road. And you could have mitigated it by just kind of I'm just going to put Bergvall in there, watch him move the ball around nicely, or put Gray in and have him fight, get to the ball quicker. All of that. So it is like Ange kind of just going, oh God, I've not got much on the bench. I don't believe in these kids. Also, I don't want to bring one of these kids in here and get them injured. Then we've got nothing. So you can imagine his head is just going, like, exploded. You can see him standing there and he's kind of freezes up. But that's because, well, you didn't have a window. You've not got 2 good teams to. We cannot compete.
Specifically
with
now
the
with the
top.
injuries. Yeah.
No. So, but I want to be able to. I don't want to fire a guy when we see how good it works. I think that does have a weight, but fire him and then, like, maybe he gets to the summer. Maybe we do get 4 or 5 players in, and maybe he believes in them next season.
The way I look at it is I just feel like the red flag's just way too concerning in terms of just out and out form in the last 12 months, right?
Yeah.
You look at 7 losses already this season, and not all those losses are accounted to the injury problems that we've had. The Ipswich game, the Palace game, a few other games where we've lost, where it's just like there is no reason to lose these games. Like, we should be stamping our authority, we should be putting the ball in the back of the net and really dominating these teams, and we're just not. The ceiling is very high when we play, like the Man City game, unbelievable. West Ham, Villa, these kind of games, like we're performing out of our skin, but then it's always backed up by a game where the floor is just so low.
Yeah.
And it just completely does my mind in. I just don't understand it.
And that's the naivety of him going, he wants to have his team. He wants to build a mentality in the team. And the exact kind of downfall of this is that you create worse mentality. But he wants to build a mentality in the team of like, let's go. We just beat City, let's go. Instead of going, no, you just beat City. So there's like an adrenaline dump after that. The games are so close, they don't even have time to deal with the adrenaline dump. They've got to have a training and then 1 day rest and then another game. Like, this. So you have to go, that's just not sustainable. Once a team goes up and does something amazing, you kind of have to have another plan, and the fans sometimes won't understand that. Like, why are we sitting back? We just beat City. But then you kind of have to go, like, look, you have to muscle out a 1-0 win in the game after, because then you can say to the press, not every game's City, like, where they come up, these teams know how to set back against us. And you would think, like, surely you're learning that. Surely the games that we are going to struggle in more are the teams you sit back, because our only way of playing is stretching a team. They aren't going to be stretched. So why are you not learning that? That's the red flags. But then again, he would go, I have these arguments with myself and Ange all the time. I'm thinking, what would he say to this? Then he would just go, well, look, I can't build this team trying to tell them, let's play front foot football, and then go in a game against Ipswich and tell them all to sit back. What am I teaching their mentality? I'd rather go lose you know, and then keep thinking, you know, and then we build them stronger and stronger. It's like, yeah, but 2 seasons of that? How much can match-paying fans go and get their heart broken watching that? Like, that's tough. He has to have the reality of going, okay, look, this is the Prem. Some days you just have to muscle out a win.
Yeah.
We would be if we came through that Fulham game where we get to 1-0 and we sit back, even at home, no one is coming out going, why are we sitting back against Fulham? No, we'd be happy with the 3 points. We'd be up the table. Having
said that, though, when we did have Antonio Conte and we'd go 1-0 up and then we would sit back, and then it's basically everyone was saying, we're waiting to die, waiting to die, waiting to die.
Yeah.
So,
it's two kind of shades of the same kind of problem. It's like, you know, Conte doesn't have the team to play exactly that, and then he's playing that, you know.
The team now would be brilliant under Conte.
Yeah. It's Ange doesn't have that team to do exactly what he wants, but then he is learning slowly but surely. Like, I didn't think we were going to go out and sit and have 5-4-1 against City, and then we did, and look at what happened.
Yeah.
You would think he would just take that on and go, well, we played Chelsea. Instead of like, well, let's go at them for 10-15 minutes, but then when you can literally, after like 15 minutes, you could see we're dying.
And he's very
just
reactive, isn't he? Very reactive in his subs. Like, way too many times he waits for us to go behind when you can see what's coming. Everyone in the stands can see it. Everyone watching on TV can see it. And then he waits for us, like the Chelsea game. You know, he waits for it to go 3-2 to Chelsea before changing anything when you could see what was happening towards the end of the first half.
And I don't think the excuse is good enough of like, well, I didn't have enough. Because in one press conference he'll say, you should know what's going on with us, mate. You know, like he takes offence to someone asking that. And then the next thing he's saying, well, we didn't have anything to bring on from the bench. It's like, well, you backed the signings of kids. You said that. Like, so, but now you're saying you don't have any signings. Like, you got to bring the kids on and then see them make a mistake. Don't say, oh, I'm not going to bring them on because they might make mistakes. Let them let them go into the fire before you say, oh, they'll get burnt. You know what I mean? At some point, he's got to believe in the kids on the bench. If he's got skilled kids on the bench and then we lose the game 4-3, Spurs fans go, well, look, there were some skilled kids played. We don't even have that. Do you know what I mean?
So, like, where are you at with it? You're behind the manager. You're completely behind it. You're apprehensive about it.
I just what you were saying very early on is if we keep changing managers, but I do think that to make a team good, a team has to go through the fire. It has to go through the downturns together.
I thought that was last season.
Yeah, but I mean, first season we didn't have anywhere near enough players. We still don't have enough good players, but we do have good players in places, you know. And now the problem isn't that we don't put out good teams each week; it's that we put out teams that are stretched, and so we actually can see that if these teams, if they were fit, if we had enough players for him to believe in, I don't want to fire a manager until he's got the what he can actually do something with. Like, don't fire him when you haven't seen him with 2 strong teams. You know what I mean? It's like,
is he ever going to get that here though?
That's what I'm saying. But then it doesn't matter who you bring in then.
Yeah.
You may as well just go through it with him, see some great wins. And what I would want from Ange, and even from the start, I'm saying this, he's not going to win a league. But I just want us to be a really good cup team for a bit. You know? Don't prioritise the league. Don't. We're never going to win that. We aren't ready for Europe. Not even. The squad's not ready for what we're going through now. We're not ready for this. So win the Carabao. Because if you're showing that you can beat City, you can beat any team in the world then on one night. So go and win.
The worry I got about that Man United game in the quarterfinals is though they've just transitioned into 3 at the back team with wing backs. Amad Diallo is playing really well at wing back at the moment. We struggle against anyone that plays wing backs and 3 at the back because Ange doesn't seem to be able to adapt to anyone that has width and can control the wide areas. So I'm actually really, really worried going into that game.
Yeah, but you would hope that if the injuries don't keep going the way they go, if the injuries do, like, there's nothing much you could do, you know, and you can't fire then a manager with all these injuries.
That game's next week, I think. It's next midweek.
Yeah. So, but I think that's good time to get them because they're still a mess. They're still, an extreme mess. They've got some good players, but again, their managers come in and then halftime he's changing defenders. He's like, oh God, because they're now so in the depth of it being bad that it's going to take something miraculous to get them out. So let's it's a good time to play them.
Fair play.
They do have their thing is they might have Amadiala, but like they don't have a striker. Their striker's got 5 shots on goal in 4 or 5 games. He's really not good. Like
Højlund, you're talking about.
Højlund, yeah. He just doesn't make the right runs in the box, so that's not someone I'm
scoring a few.
He's probably going to score a hat trick now.
Yeah, I don't know why you said that.
But like they do have some good players, but I think on our day, this is what I mean about like hopefully going into that game, he gets everyone. This is our cup final. Every game in the cup for us should be a cup final. Like, do not lose that game. But then that could be because I can't imagine he's going into any game going, no, just give it your best, lads. I think he is going in every game going, you cannot lose this game. But that might be too much for some of those players. You know what I mean? But I tell you this about footballers, because I hate the thing about it's the players. When you're a footballer, when you're a young kid playing football, you get used to league football, right? So that whole thing of like when you got a game on Sunday, you can't sleep Saturday night. Eventually you learn how to sleep on Saturday night because it's just a league game. Yeah. But when it's a cup game, you can't sleep again on Saturday night, right? So players, it's natural for players to learn how to kind of take for granted, because you have to get sleep, league games, But then it's a big game. You also have to learn how to calm your heart so you get some sleep. Like these players, because they're young, that's a big problem. They're not learning enough. But then a big game comes and it it blows them up so much. Then like they don't care about the next game, or they're like, well, relax. We just beat City.
And that comes down to mentality.
And that's the thing, but that's going to be the hardest thing to build. This is why Ange coming into this team, I would have thought he would have wanted some players who have proven mentality to do it with youngsters. To have that mentality,
I'm certain he wanted proven players to come in. You look at the players that we were linked with over the summer. I don't think it was just hearsay. The likes of Conor Gallagher, the likes of Eberechi Eze, the likes of Pedro Neto, and then you end up with Archie Gray, Wilson Odebear, and whoever we ended up with. Like
even Callum Hudson-Odoi over Werner would have been,
would have been better. I think Hudson-Odoi is having a good season. He really is under Nuno, but I do believe Ange wanted these teenagers. I just believe he wanted more on top of that.
Yeah, well, because he came from a summer window at Celtic where he got like 9-10 players,
Yeah.
And he saw that in that league it didn't have to be all done with big money. But that's a little bit having a Matt Riley and like they had good quality for low money. Here it's like when you're trying to compete with the top 6, it's an interesting strategy. It is a good strategy to go for wonder youth. Like Pap Sarr proves that it's a good strategy because they come good and look how strong they become.
But it takes time.
It does take time. Look, it did take time with Pap because we put him out on loan and built him up. Archie's getting thrown into the fire here, 18 years old. Like, you can't look at Archie and tell me that he plays football like an 18-year-old. He's really strong. Yeah. I mean, his actual legs, his strength. But it is a bit much too soon. We're expecting a lot. And I guess that's why sometimes he's trying to protect him, because he probably sees the toll it's taken on them. But I tell you what, this thing with the players is that every football player, there's a whole process before you get to the game and the things they do. Every single football player wants to win. Nobody wants to play bad. It's not, the players are not thinking, oh, I'm not going to play good today. But that's what a manager's there for, to control the way everyone's thinking. So when in a changing room, they all think the same thing. Like you're all thinking the same thing. You're all scared of this. You're all, so we've got to do everything together. And that's what I just don't see. I don't see cohesion when things go off the plot. When it goes well, it's perfect cohesion. So there's something happening about, is Ange also the guy who's like up for big games? And do you know what I mean? Like, he loves playing City because to him they are the be all and end all.
And you had the comments that Kulusevski made after the first City game in the cup, and that actually concerned me. Those comments.
It did concern me as well,
because I'm like, why are you saying that? Like, why are you getting more up for that game than you would do for any other game? Because if you've got top mentality, and Kulusevski, prides himself on having that mentality, and you can't be a champion one game, you've got to be a champion every game. Yeah. Well, then why are you coming out after the City game and saying, well, everyone knows what that game means to me, and I'm always going to turn up for that game? Well, why don't you always turn up for every game?
But that's what I'm saying. So what players say means nothing, because the next game's, you're only as good as the game you're in, you know. But like with Kulusevski, is like, you can tell he does have a good mind state. You can tell he wants to rip everyone on the pitch. He wants to go, but you can also see, like in that Chelsea game, and even the game before, he is doing similar things, but in a different way, because a different player, different body, but similar things to Sonny, where they compromise. So when you see his tell is when someone passes the ball to him and he waits for it because he wants to kind of take it on the run, and he waits for it. He knows there's a player right here. He knows the ball's not moving at the right speed, and he waits for it. And that's him just going, I can't be arsed for this. He could just go, you're supposed to go to the ball. Like, not everyone's going to give you the right pass every time. And when he's on
happened
form,
a lot against Bournemouth, that.
When he's on form, he looks inwards to give me the ball, and he turns that way. Now he's kind of waiting to pull the ball, and then they just step in and do it. And he did that all game against Chelsea. So that's where you see that he's drained. He's not trying to play bad. He's not consciously going, oh, I can't be arsed with this one. But in a moment, you're going, not a good enough ball. Sorry. I'm not going to try. Just in a moment, because that's the brain is so tired, because he's so tired. And we're going like, oh, look how much he runs. How much can you rely on one player to run as much as that without giving him rest? So that's where you could get angry at Kulu and go, oh, where's he been the last 2 games? But it's like, yeah, but your manager has to protect you. Even if you are the best player, doesn't mean he should start every game over Maddison. Maddison needs form. You don't get Maddison's form back by having him on the bench in a big game. So he's genuinely, that's the thing with man management, which is something that I heard before he came in, is that he does have favourites, and he does maybe hurt the confidence of other players by not showing them love. And that's what I kind of feel. I don't know what's happened between them, but I kind of feel that Maddison on form is too good to really worry, kind of not have him there. I thought you go with Maddison in a Chelsea game because it's a big game.
Yeah, I was saying that in the build-up to it.
You need his form. You can't bring Maddison on for bit parts. You're not going to recover his form the way that he needs it. He's the guy. He needs to feel like the guy.
It's interesting what you say about favourites, because I sat next to Lucas Bergval's mum on the way back from Turkey in the Galatasaray game.
He strikes me as having a hot mom.
Fairly.
Okay.
And anyway,
you heard it here first. Bergval's mom is a MILF.
I was asking, what's the relationship like with Ange and the players, and Lucas in particular, because Lucas ain't getting much game time, and she said there's no relationship whatsoever with the players and Ange. She said that he likes to have that kind of relationship with his players because he doesn't want to show favouritism to any of the players. He doesn't want to have favourites. So what do you make out of that?
But then you see him go out of his way to shake Romero's hand as he walks off. I think Romero and him have a good relationship. I know what you mean, though, is that he's not a Mourinho on the pitch kind of like, hey, you feeling back down, how's your dog doing? He's not that guy. But I do think he but just team sheets, oh God, how am I, what's Maddison thinking? Is Maddison thinking he's not got Kulu over him as a favourite? Do you know what I mean? It's like, just from that.
But it's not favouritism, though, if you're playing better, because Kulusevski has been a lot better than Maddison this season. Yeah.
But then when Kulusevski's form does go down 3 games in a row, I think you kind of do go, look, you need a rest. It's not you're not dropping him just by saying take a rest, come on at 75 minutes. Could you imagine if Kulu came on at the Chelsea game?
Yeah.
That is way more impact than if Maddison comes on, because Kulu has more strength and can turn a game on its head. So I just thought that was. But I do think there is. I can see that he is that guy, that he likes to kind of be the coach from a bit of a distance. Like, don't come and tell me, you be a grown up, handle things yourself. But yeah, I do think there is a little bit of favouritism to. I mean, Archie Gray. You can't tell me he hasn't favourited Archie Gray. He's the same age as other players, but he is his go-to for a sub. He's his guy.
I guess it's what he's saying on the training ground, though. Like, it's the players that deserve it, I guess. But
for me, the heart. If people were going, how do youth really strive under Ange? How does a player turn things around on Ange? I don't think he's that guy who's given, but he was supposed to be that for like goalkeepers and for Celtic, and I think he is. If someone wants to turn their career around, he's like, well, you can do it under me, but you got to show it. Yeah. With Jed Spence is probably someone who needs a manager to not give him shit and understand where he comes from and what he's going through, and Ange isn't that guy. I think the treatment of Jed Spence is insane. Every time we've seen Jed Spence play, he's shown strength. He looks like a way bigger guy than most people on the pitch to him. He goes up the line well.
We're only still in the Carabao Cup because of him. He came on, scored that goal. He was brilliant. Came on against Manchester United. I thought he was good. Every time we've seen him, he performed really well. If you're Jed Spence,
how, you're training well every day? How do you show him that you can do it? You're not in the Euro squad. You don't get brung on even when your right and left backs are dead. You're not getting brung on.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It makes no sense. But you hear Romero come out of defence of Ange Postecoglou. You hear all the in the press, they're all saying all the players are completely behind Ange and they love working under Ange. You hear from the press that the club are completely backing Ange. How long until that changes? Because we've seen too many times where players have thrown managers under the bus and they're like, I don't want to play for him. I don't want to play for him. And then they ultimately go on a losing run. And now we're on that losing run, but the players in the club are still backing the manager.
That is one of the best things about having a young squad is they're way less likely to be like, oh, this wasn't like what it was like in my last club, because they don't have that experience. They're like a lot. That's kind of almost like the cheek of the club. They are going for young because the potential upside of selling someone for more money, but also they're going to complain less. And you can just say, oh, well, look, it was a strategy, go for it. It didn't quite work, It's like, you're not going to see Bergvall throw his toys at the pram. He's happy. He's really happy to be there. Yeah. Like, they're all happy to be there.
Albeit he could have been in Barcelona.
Yeah. And I do think after 2 seasons, if he's not getting shown, he will want to go other places. Again, it's another player where every time I've seen him, I've been like, this guy's really good. Like, one of the games, he came on and he just started putting these amazing crosses in.
That was last game. I think it was the Chelsea game.
No, it was even it was way before that. Like,
the Leicester game, first game of the season.
Yeah. Just putting. I was like, whoa, where's this guy come from? Why not sometimes just, if the wings are dreadful, why not put him on the wing? Because he's got a bit of pace about him, he's strong, he'll hold players off, and he will put perfect balls in. Like, put him there. Yeah. I do feel Ange's stubbornness is really reached its max with people. You can feel it everywhere. And I think Ali Gold was saying that he feels like it's 80-20 still fans behind the manager. I don't feel like that at all. In the stadium, 50, I think it's 60, been 50,
60-40.
I think it's been 60-40 in heading towards 50-50. It's not just the Levy outers who are. It's all of the legacy fans. It's all of the fans who have been, the older fans who have been with the club for years and years. Like, they're not supporting Ange. They want results.
Look, I've heavily criticised Ange over the past week. I wouldn't have gone too far to say that I want him out right now, but I can't see the direction in which we're going in my opinion. However, if the club are coming out and clearly backing him, he's happy to stay, and the players, most importantly, are coming out and saying how much they enjoy working under Ange, and we'll get there in the end. And I'm going to back it. Yeah, and that's the reality.
Well, this is where, I think he should stay there because the training is clearly top notch, to play his style of football. Because you just wouldn't see the results of how it can work if the training wasn't great. The only problem is if he's not super versatile, and this is why if his thing is, because I'm here for 5 years, I need to get the mentality and the kind of style of play so ironed that everyone coming in, so if Madison goes, I bring in a player just who's a like for like, so he builds that, right? But until he has 2 squads, so when you play 3 games a week and one squad played, one 15 or 16 squad played on Sunday, Thursday, none of them are involved.
Look at Chelsea. That's what Chelsea.
Yeah. Did. So in the training, these players do not train on Tuesday. The players who are playing, they train. So you give literally, you are able to give a week off to players, and until we see that, we're going to spin up and down. He's also dealing with youth, so he's dealing with players like believability in themselves. We're not going to see it until he's got the numbers. And so I think we owe it to him to get past the summer. If they do not give him 7 to 9 players, like
7 to 9, you think we need that many?
Yeah, because I think he needs.
We ain't getting 7 to 9 players. I'll tell you that right now.
Even if some of it is loans, this winter window, if we get nothing in,
we have to.
The club is
We're too
not,
short on numbers right now. We have to.
If we get nothing in, the whole thing about the club backing Ange, they are not 100%. They're not backing him because they know that if it continues, they can just sack him.
Ange has not been backed. I think that's fact. I think that's factual in terms of what he needs to do the job. He's been backed in terms of he's had signings through the door because he has, and he's spent a lot of money, but he's not getting what he needs to succeed in this role. And I feel, and the anger coming towards Ange from myself, from other people from the stands, I feel like as much as Ange should be doing better with what he's got in particular games this season, I do feel the majority of the anger being directed in Ange's way is probably displaced anger which should be directed at the board.
Yeah. It wasn't Ange's strategy to go with youth completely, because that was a strategy like sort of already in play with Destiny and Sarr, so that strategy had already been proven. It would be good to see did Paratici's ban get overturned?
It has. There's been no talk of it just yet. I think there was an appeal process that was going to be concluded by Christmas time or something, so we don't know anything.
I don't think we've seen enough.
He's working in the background.
I don't think we've seen enough from Lange and the recruitment team to do justice of the windows. You know what I mean? But when Paratici was there, he brought in a cracking player and a cracking player, and one didn't work, but then another cracking player. He had more of a hit to miss ratio. We need someone like that, because especially when what you need to bring in now is a bit of experience. So I think in the winter window, even if it's just 3 or 4 loans of good players, maybe going around finding the players who are amazing, who are maybe not getting.
We need a Kulusevski Bentancur style January. That's what we need.
Yeah, we need something. We need backup for defence. We need backup for attack, and then to get us through to just to buy certain players respite as well, so that you can rotate and then get through to the summer. I still think we'll probably finish 10th, but I'm just hoping that we can get a really good run in one of the cups and maybe go far in Europe. I'd rather us not be in the Champions League next year or even Europe, because until we get a big squad, I would want a big squad to just even deal with just the league and all the cups, and then once they're gone on runs of like 15 game wins, then we've got something.
If he does finish 10th, though, does he stay in a job? Will the board not sack him?
No, I think he should stay in a job, because I think they have to take responsibility for not really backing him with enough experience.
But they never do that. And as soon as the stadium starts going Levy out and all this kind of stuff, they'll sack him there and then.
Yeah. This is the thing, was that I wanted more kind of a lack of, killing the expectation when he first came in, because it was very obvious that we were going to play some good football, but that we were going to get. Everyone said it when it was like, we're going to win games, but we're going to get battered. And as soon as that starts happening, everyone's angry. It's like, well, we knew this. We said it was going to happen.
Yeah. I just didn't think it would go on for this long.
Yeah, that's the
thing. I thought we would see like a bit of light in the end of the tunnel by now.
And he's learning
but we're getting worse.
He's learning very slowly, too slowly for the Premier League.
Yeah.
But also, it's his first time in the Premier League, so it's like he has to learn. He's
also an experienced manager. He's not a young guy, you know what I mean?
No, but sometimes when you're experienced and you've won things in other countries that are not England, not the Prem, that's a bad thing for you, yeah, because you're just like, wow, this is what football is. Football. He'll always say things like, look, football's not changed. You say things like that. He does those things where you're like, what? No, of course it has. Just little things of like you could mitigate. I don't know who it was that said it, but you could literally make small changes and mitigate a lot of the problems. Like the way we play fullbacks, just have them a little bit, just a little bit further back, and just actually have a back four. Play a double pivot of the 6s, 6 and 8 double pivot rather than a double pivot high, because as soon as they get behind,
Bentancur side,
just give yourself a little bit more stability. against teams who, if you turn up against a team who know you're going to go at them, how about just don't that day? Have them go, oh, Spurs aren't coming at us. Oh, let's go at them. You know, like, let's see what happens. You know, just change it up a little bit. Just because once I don't know how many games we can go to as fans, and now we're not even getting that pumped after 10. You know, when we're going, yeah, we're pressing. Everyone knows. 10 minutes in the Chelsea game, 15 minutes. As soon as Romero got injured, it was like, yeah, we know it's going to happen. It's like, you knew we were going to lose the game.
Romero goes off, we concede 5 minutes later, and then,
And then no one was in belief that we were going to win that game.
Yeah.
You know, still, he was sold out. Like, those penalties should never have happened. Did they? I mean, they did control the ball, but did they create clear chances?
No,
other than
but
those two
they
penalties?
completely dominated
They
us.
did
though,
dominate
didn't
us, but then we did get chances.
Yeah,
on the
it's true.
counter, which was like what we wanted to do.
It's true.
Son finishes that chance.
Yeah.
But that's
We go
what happens.
3-2 up.
That's what happens. Sonny's conversion of goals now is taking a knock because his legs are because he's
That's
running
the problem.
like crazy.
Players are getting overplayed at the moment, and we're not seeing their true value and their true worth to the team. And until we get our players back, I think that's going to keep carrying on. It's probably even going to get worse.
Yeah.
So I mean, the season could be gone by the time our players come back.
Yeah. I mean, my expectations of this season was so low that I only really was looking forward to doing well in the cups. So I'm kind of like going into games and kind of like as soon as we get to half time, I'm not leaving, but I'm kind of going like, well, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we just got to hope that he can find something and change something and turn it around, because it ain't going well at the moment. And I think the fans that are criticising Ange at the moment, including myself, you know, they're in the right place to do so until he finds some sort of ways to stem the tide, because something needs to happen.
Football's such an addictive game, and it's such a kind of mystery sometimes that
Fickle game as well.
a big win against Rangers in like a club in Europe that we actually do have like a special history, like the 62, was it Cup Winners' Cup final, or you have to go back, but there is a history there. And so like we should be looking at this, like obviously we won't build it up as a kind of Battle of Britain or anything, but it should be a big game, and a big win against Rangers now at this time, it should, you know, he should look at that and go, let's go, and it should galvanise the players. But we've got Southampton on Sunday. The team is going to set back.
I don't think they will actually. No, Southampton actually do play their football.
I hope they do.
I think they will.
They do.
I think they will, and they'll fancy their chances against us.
I would love to see like us just realise the situation that we're in with defence and midfielders maybe needing to create like a screen in front of them, and then just bang, like catch them up, you know. Because I think some of our best work has been just in front, like when you break their press, like underneath the kind of halfway line, just in front of the defence. Madison or Kulusevski getting on the ball there. Some of that is like where we really are good.
It's in fast transitions. That's when we're working our best.
And sometimes we were like that under Conte as well.
Yeah.
You know, so that is like kind of almost a bit of a signature for Spurs, but like we should kind of want to draw teams into attacking us and then catch them on the break. I think we're a great counter-attack side. I think that's also a big part of our, you know, the best we've seen over Spurs the last 10 years is being a dangerous counter-attack team. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But when you are on the ball, I like seeing dominating football, but I don't like seeing move the ball side to side, and it's like and slowly creep up the pitch. I don't think that's fast front foot football.
But you look at the games this season where we've been at our best, it's all been transitional play. You look at the Brentford game, all transitional goals. West Ham, we scored some transitional goals in that game. Man City game, you know, all these games, even the Villa game to a certain extent, you know, we don't really build up the ball. I mean, we do, but most of our good play, most of our good goals are all transitional goals.
Yeah. One of our best goals was Ben Davies winning the ball in set, like on the halfway line, taking the being brave. He gets past him, we're dead, you know. But winning that ball, you know, Dom making his run. Dom was the second furthest person tracking back to turn around and then be the furthest forward to finish that goal. Like, but it takes fight and brave players to pull that off. Well, I think we should I think Ange should learn that that's what he does have in the squad. If anything, he does have that. So let's do that.
That's a good point someone makes here. Simon Barnes saying we have forced a lot of errors from our pressing and got goals like that way as well. Yeah,
has been one of the best things of the season. The only problem is it's hard to sustain. So you should go out, if you're going to go out and press high and make teams make mistakes. If we were able to continue that press against Chelsea for 45 minutes, we would have got flowers all day long. We would have just constantly made. I don't understand why ball straight to Kulusevski. He doesn't just hit it first time, open goal. Pap had that same thing, open goal. They didn't just hit shots.
Even Sonny against Chelsea could have squared it to Timo Werner. If you don't score that goal, you've got to score.
This is our thing. So our attack. This is why Ange is. He's constantly look, you have to score the goals. If your attack isn't taking the chances, it's not like we're not creating the chances. Even Dom with Sonny's cutback. Dom kind of overruns. It's the cutback was perfect. He overrun and he got his foot stuck under the ball, but that's a tap in from 4 yards. You know, you got to take those chances, and so that's what I mean about we might be creating chances, but our form is, and it has been bad. Even though we are scoring goals, our form's been bad in finishing the whole season. Our press has been good, but if our form in finishing has been good, we would be up on games, and we'd be 4 up every game. So it's not that it doesn't work. It's just that we don't have the sustainability in the legs and the team to keep doing it. But then that's why I would have thought, that's why you got kids, right? Bring Bergvall on, tell him, look at that press, keep doing that. Sars run himself for 50 minutes here. Go and do that. Don't bring them on in 80 and you've got 10 minutes now and now we're chasing the game.
Yeah.
Go on at 50, 60 and say, keep that up. Brighton, Bentancur had a great first half. No, there's no harm in saying, right, Biz, go and do exactly that. Or, Gray, go and do exactly that. Exactly that. Keep that, because Bentancur didn't have the energy. Start of that half, I don't know if anyone saw it. He personally started the half 4 or 5 yards deeper. He did, as in just his start position for the first kickoff. And you saw, his head is no, we're 2-0 up. I don't care what the manager says. I'm done. You know what I mean? But he doesn't read it. It's put the kid on there and go, do exactly what he did in that first half.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how it plays out. Hoping for a big performance and big result tomorrow night. Ibrox, what's your score prediction?
Oh, God. You peppered me up this whole time. I fear a 2-1 loss just because of the height of the game. Actually, I fear it could be worse than that. But I'm going to go for a crazy game, and I'm going to go 3-2 Spurs.
Oh, 3-2 Spurs.
In a crazy game.
Wow.
And I think we might actually even get those 3 goals early and then just hold on for dear life.
Yeah, look, the atmosphere is going to be intense. Postecoglou and Fraser Forster and probably even Archie Gray are going to get ultimate, unbelievable amount of stick. I think it's going to be crazy outside the ground, inside the ground. Are our players going to be able to kind of stand up to that challenge? However, having said that about our players, we did come under a lot of pressure at Galatasaray, but when we went down to 10 men, we actually looked really good. And if that game goes on for 10 more minutes, we probably get back into that game and draw it 3-3. Yeah. So maybe we kind of grew into that atmosphere, because the atmosphere in Galatasaray, I mean, I was nearly deaf by the end of the game.
Yeah,
seriously, it was.
But that is another one of those stadiums where it's you're not going to experience that.
No, it was the most intense ground I've been to for sure, by a million miles. But I think this will be up there with it. I don't know if it'll be as intense, but it'll definitely be up there with it.
Yeah.
I think maybe the players might learn a lot from that Galatasaray game to take it into this game.
Yeah.
I do feel like we will come unstuck a bit in the last stage of the game just because of the physicality and the physical levels and the physicality that Rangers, they're going to be bang up for it. So I'm going to go for a positive 2-2 draw. Yeah, I think Spurs probably go up early in the first half, maybe take a 2-0 lead into half-time. But like you, I think we concede a few in the second half.
Yeah, it's all about what happens early in that game. I wouldn't be surprised if we go in hell for leather because of the buzz of it, and there's going to be mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. It's just going to be a case of who capitalizes, who has the nerve to hold on. Because I think someone's going to get a lead, and I think it's going to be a case of. But the thing is, if they get a lead, they won't stay behind the ball. Not at home, because it's a disrespect. even though they know it will be a big win and they need it, they won't play. They will have that. No, let's keep going. And I think we won't have the legs if we stay ahead. So we better get ahead and get ahead by a lot.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have 15 minutes, and then it's just whether or not what we could do with the lead.
If we can start like we did against Chelsea, start like we did against Bournemouth, there's no reason with the quality that we've got that will be on the pitch that we can't score a number of goals in the first half.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why my family is like, the players you've got, like, you guys should easily win this game. But at Ibrox, under the lights in Europe, it's whether they have the stomach to do that, especially if you've got Gray. I think he's a great player. This is a different type of game, and Bergvall in the middle, because Bergvall will be so pivotal in pressing players centrally. If he can, I'd love to see Bergvall do that and cause a goal with his press, because I think it would be huge for him as a player. Because this is a big game. I genuinely think this is like one of those crux games of our season.
Do you feel like a draw though, like taking away a draw with 2 games left of the group phase, Hoffenheim away and Elfsborg at home, which should be 6 points? Should be. I say should be. Do you feel like a draw is a good result?
I just think we need more. It's like another. We've not had a. How many games have we not had a win in since the City game? How many games has it been? Is it 6 or 4, 5?
Let me tell you, we haven't won since City. 4 games. 4 games. Yeah, it's 1 win in 7.
1 win in 7. Yeah. So I think we need a win. And for a fact he's going to go in and he will.
In terms of the Europa League group phase.
Yeah. Because you're willing to leave it to, Spurs just needing a win or needing in the next 2 games.
I'm not willing to do that, but I mean, at home in the last game at home to Elfsborg,
we should definitely win that. Yeah.
That should be a give me 3 points game. Like we should
but
win
if it's
that.
all we need. We're probably not going to do it.
True. That's also true. Hoffenheim away, I guess, can be tricky because you're playing a Bundesliga side.
Yeah, they're a tough game. Yeah. That's what I mean. I don't see that being a walkover game either, especially depending on where we are in, with our squad, how many more injuries we've got.
So you're saying if we fail to win this game, it could be very difficult for us to finish in the top 8?
Just for positivity's sake, and I think Spurs fans think Spurs should dominate this game and win this game easy, and I think the players probably kind of feel a bit like we should really be winning this game, and that's like a problem, because this is going to be a different type of experience. But I think it's one of those. It's that double-edged sword. Is like there's so much potential upside if you do win this game, because it is a big game.
Yeah,
and especially if it is a proper slugging match. If it's like. If it's a 0-0 to the last few minutes and someone snatches away, that's still good. But if it's a slugging match that you come out on top on, then it shows heart.
Gives a bit of confidence as well.
This is going to be a game
we need
all
some
about
confidence.
Heart.
Yeah. Well,
I just hope that
it's all about heart, and we're coming up against the Scots, who have got a lot of heart.
To be fair, the 2 kids that we are thinking are going to play, they're the right kids that we probably want to play, though.
I agree with that. But look, Brains is going for, would you say 3-2 win? I'm going for 2-2. I want to know your score predictions.
3-2 win or a 4-3 loss?
Moving the goalpost there a bit, Brain. I want to know your score predictions in the comments section below. Very much looking forward to the game. Me and Barry are in the studio for the watch along tomorrow, so come and join us for that. Sim is up at Ibrox getting you all the action from inside the ground.
You may never see him again.
Yeah, I was about to say. Let's hope he actually comes back in one piece. But Brains, thank you so much for coming in today, man. Really good to be on screen with you once again, and big up to all of you guys in the live chat as well and sticking around this hour and a half. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.